I made this game and it's out now on Steam. Let's talk about how we got here. I used to work in web development at a startup. At the end of 2020, I felt I was done, so I left with about 2 years worth of savings. I didn't have any plans, but I had the opportunity and the privilege, and I wanted to see what I could get up to. I didn't start off with game development. I just wanted a project to work on. I've always been more attracted to the technical side of graphics, so I started off there. I wanted to do something in the vector graphics space. It started off as a glorified Bezier curve editor. I also had come up with a procedural vector aesthetic. I tried to figure out a game around that. It was supposed to be a game about shooting arrows and then summoning them back. I thought there might be something interesting in that geometry exploration between parabole and straight lines. Even now, the game source folder is called parabole. But it just wasn't working out. Maybe the level editor was too hard to use, or I just wasn't good enough to do justice to the idea yet. So I decided to scrap that. There was one interesting idea that came out of that though. This concept of dumb AI, which you can manipulate around and get up to hijinks. I was also messing around with an idea about pirates based on that CGP Grey video series, and I thought I could try that out. The idea was that these pirates would all board your ship and somehow be chasing you around, and you would have to basically hitman them into traps. But none of that panned out. The dumb AI idea remained though, an idea of moving patrolling ships out of their path so that you can do what you need when they were distracted. And that led to this one prototype, and suddenly there was something there. Sometimes you just add something into your game and it gives you so much more back. Those are those magic moments, the ones you live for as a designer. This concept of the ships moving around tokens was the first of those, where something just clicks. Again, I spent a lot of time playing around with graphics. I had an idea of how a treasure map could come to life, and it was a lot of fun to make that happen. There were a bunch of problems with that though, so I redid the whole thing again to make it look like a Walkman where you can press the buttons. At this point, it was just a fun project. I could do whatever I wanted, and I wanted to do just the fun things. Level design is hard. It's the most important thing, especially for a puzzle game, but I didn't really bother because it was scary. So I went back to messing around with the system side of things, trying to find new mechanics to see if any of them make sense. And then suddenly I found one. And again, click. Such a simple new mechanic created so many new emergent things to explore. That's when I saw this on Twitter. The Drachnic New Voices grant. And everything was now in place. I had a cool mechanic to play around with. I had a deadline and a goal. Submit a prototype. It was amazing. Best months of the year. And then I submitted the game. Then I crashed. Making games is hard. And now it's real. It's no longer disposable. I had now spent over 6 months working on this, and I couldn't really convince myself that it's just for fun anymore. I had sunken enough time into it, abandoning it now was no longer an option. I was stuck deep in the mid-project blues. I didn't know if the idea was any good, I didn't know if the game I had made up to that point was any good, and I was just stuck. Honestly, when I got news of being selected, I felt nothing. Things slowly got better though, and that's mostly due to the grant and the opportunities it opened up. Just general discussions about how people were faring in their games, and a few designated programs to discuss specific issues. Slowly that enthusiasm returned. For me, the main thing was taking my eye off the goal. Forget about releasing the complete product. If you keep staring at that goal, progress seems negligible. Instead, I started focusing on just making progress. Update the menu screen, progress. Create a new level, progress. Watch a playtest, progress. As long as I kept making progress, I would be fine. I spent a lot more time on level design. This is both butt in chair time as well as calendar time. Seeing what was interesting about this system, what I want to showcase about these mechanics, and then I realized something. I had been thinking about difficulty all wrong. I thought good puzzles were difficult and difficult puzzles were good. But after spending enough time working on it, I realized interesting puzzles are good. Difficulty is situational. For some games, it makes more interesting puzzles. For my game, it makes puzzles less interesting. Click. There's a link below for my essay on this topic. Again, momentum picked up. It was very clear what I had to do. throw away a lot of levels, create simpler versions of them. I had to check all the mechanics again and get rid of the ones that no longer made sense. That meant that the Navy ships are out now. The original mechanic now in the bin. It had all started coming together. Now suddenly there was an end in sight. It just needed one final mechanic. I searched a lot, tried out many different things, until, click, I found one. Now it was just a matter of finishing the game. Finishing things is hard. There is so much to do. All the small, boring things that you ignored during development. And hopefully listed out. Hopefully in one place. Again, it's a slow process, but consistent progress is the key. And suddenly, it was all done. And now came the harder part. Announcing, marketing. I know how to make a game. Or I could learn all the things that I needed to. But this was all so different. But it also was the same process. It was a lot harder and a lot less fun. But again, just head down, work hard, learn hard, put in the work. I also got lucky with the thinkygames.com Thinkathon. That's an event where 6 games are being released in the same week. It's just another in the series of doors that being selected for the grant opened for me. And then it was release day. Releasing a game is just pressing 3 buttons. And then it's out there. Maybe make an announcement or two. And then just sit back and wait. People seem to be liking it. More importantly, they seem to be getting it. And that's all I can really ask for. I never thought I'd see something I made on Steam. But here it is. And it feels just as good as you think it would. In conclusion, there are so many things that are not in our hands. When will you have the opportunity to leave a job? Will you find an idea worth working on? Will you be working on an idea when an opportunity comes up? Who will support you when you need it? When will other games be releasing? A lot of things fell in my favor for me to reach this point, and all I have is gratitude. If you've picked up the game, thank you. I hope you enjoy. If not, then Konkan Coast Pirate Solutions is a cozy puzzle game about helping pirate ships do pirate things. It's out on Steam now. The link is in the description. Cheers!